How do the Dutch see themselves in the European Union? This question emerged as one of the top issues in the election campaign, especially after Brexit. And I picked this topic because Brexiteers regularly bring up the nonsense that other countries will leave the EU soon. Brexit made everyone not think about that. I'm absolutely sure about that. But the Netherlands were always high on that list. The Netherlands lost an ally, Great Britain, with whom they maintain close cultural ties and whose views on trade and foreign policy the country largely shares. The Netherlands has lost a comrade in arms who thought and worked the way they thought, says analyst Maria de Mertzis from Bruegel. The Dutch looked west in everything they did. On the other hand, with the British, a voice that was important for the Dutch in terms of European politics had fallen silent. The only thing left is the Franco-German axis that the EU needs for progress. The Dutch therefore feared that they would no longer be heard in the future and wanted to ensure to be heard. As a founding member of the EU, the Netherlands has traditionally been pro-European. Their economy depends heavily on the internal market. But dissatisfaction with Brussels has been growing for years, until 2016. The most recent example was the public dispute with EU partners over the EU budget and the COVID aid measures, but all that was sorted. The Hague wants to spend these funds in a sensible way, but in other EU countries one hears the accusation that the Netherlands is too stingy, lackluster and uncompromising. All of this led to speculation about the possibility of a Nexit, a Dutch exit from the EU. But experts do not take this speculation seriously. This is something that is being talked about in the greenhouse in Brussels, but that is far from reality, said Dharmendra Kanani from Friends of Europe. The question is whether the influence of populists and nationalists on national politics will grow if the government is not competent in managing public finances and historical debt levels. The rise in nationalism only seems to confirm the growing dissatisfaction with Brussels institutions. The experts said the results of the elections will show how much the traditional parties have to suffer as a result. Now the results are in. And I must say, I had to prepare this when the first results came in and the result polls, but they are usually very accurate, so there will not be very much different between those exit polls and the end result. So I doubt that there will be a big change between I filmed this and the end results are coming in. So that's the usual way that they work. And it was the same with the state elections in Germany. The first exit polls were almost the same like the end result. And in this election, as expected, Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte and his right-wing liberal party VVD won the parliamentary elections. According to the first forecasts on the TV channel NOS on Wednesday evening, VVD will be by far the strongest force in the second chamber of parliament with around 23% and 35 seats. Rutte could now be head of government for the fourth time. The party of right-wing populist Geert Wilders, which had been in second place in the polls for weeks, had to be content with third place. They lost 3 seats in parliament. Another right-wing populist party, the FVD of the nationalist Thierry Baudet, won 5 seats and now has a total of 7. A spin-off from FVD, JA21, moves into parliament with 3 members, so that the bottom line is that the right-wing populists will emerge stronger from the election, but still far behind the pro-European parties. The big surprise, however, is the left-wing liberal D66, which, according to forecasts with top candidate Sigrid Kaag, comes in second with 27 seats. 4 years ago, D66, which previously also belonged to the coalition, still got 19 of the 150 seats. The party kicked right-wing populist Geert Wilders from second rank. He posted losses and became the third strongest force only. After the last election, he was second. The Dutch had cast their vote under strict corona rules. Tents, theatres, churches and even a cemetery have been turned into polling stations to allow for distance. 13 million citizens of the kingdom were called to vote for the 150 MPs in the second chamber. A preliminary final result was not expected until the night when I prepared this video, as I said, but according to the forecasts, 17 parties made the leap into parliament. There is no 5% hurdle like, for example, here in Germany. In total, 3 extreme right-wing parties will be represented in the new second chamber with a total of 27 mandates. That is a clear increase compared to 2017. But the left parties, Social Democrats, Socialists and the Greens, recorded significant losses. The Christian Democrats also lost mildly. So they can be glad the Christian Democrats last week lost a bit more. Rutte has been ruling for more than 10 years, most recently with the D66, the Christian Democratic CDA and the Small Christian Union. It is unclear whether Rutte will continue the previous coalition. Because of the fragmented political landscape, negotiations are usually lengthy. The Netherlands has been in lockdown since mid-December. There has also been a curfew since the end of January. More than 16,000 people have died from COVID-19 and infection rates have been high for weeks. But despite regular demonstrations, a majority of citizens still support the government's corona policy. According to surveys, the most important topics for the voters were the state of the health and care system, the increased rents and prices for condominiums, the climate and the environment, and the fight against corona. Almost all major parties have promised more state for the future. But with the best will in the world, the Netherlands' exit from the EU did not even come close to meeting with great approval. In the corona pandemic, however, weakness in the health system became apparent. For example, Dutch corona patients were admitted to hospitals in North Rhine-Westphalia, here where I live, and we gladly took them. That is another thing that was shown in the pandemic, with all the downsides, with everything that went wrong. One thing was very clearly shown in the pandemic, and that was the solidarity within the EU. We in Germany, we had patients from several other EU countries, and we gladly did this. And I quoted another Dutch person in another video some time ago. We didn't even send bills to them for this. Of course not. That was an emergency. We had the capacities to help, and of course we helped. Germany also sent military medical personnel to Portugal and to other areas. So that is what the European Union is about. And that is what the European Union should be about. The solidarity between the member states, helping each other, bringing each other further, cooperation, that are the core models of the European Union. And just to make this one point clear once again, it is not from the beginning only about trade, and later somebody came to the conclusion, oh, we could do more with politics. From the Treaty of Rome, the intention always was to bring Europe with the European Union closer, and closer not only in the area of trade, but especially in the area of politics, because only that for a long time can prevent the things of the, as we say in Germany, younger history to repeat itself. Because no one in that time in 1953 wanted that to happen again. The 100 years before that, Europe was almost constantly at war. And that was what the EU was about. The European Union was never intended to be just some kind of trade bloc. That was never the intention, and Brexiteers are spreading that nonsense all the time. The European Union was always about deeper cooperation between the member states, and that developed over time the way it was supposed to be from that point of view. There are a lot of things that need reform. There are a lot of things that need to be different in the future. But now, to be honest, with one very disturbing factor gone, I see more possibilities to finally get that done. And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel. Auf Wiedersehen.